Mr. Beast is a bad guy has been the sentiment on YouTube for the past couple of months. Ever since the middle of summer, we have seen claims coming out against Mr. Beast and his team, some of them baseless, but also some of them literally career-ending for Mr. Beast. But now we are seeing Dogpack404 have the most fire that he can possibly get. People are poking holes in his argument like it's Swiss cheese, starting with this creator named Stucky. Now, I was recently put on to Stucky by a follower on my Instagram who sent me this video. And after watching the video, I can 100% say that Dogpack is not someone to be trusted. With that being said, are some of his claims true? I would argue yes, but a lot of these claims are just entirely baseless and are kind of just piggybacking off of claims that have already been made. And I'm going to do a TLDR on Stucky's video to make it shorter, more concise, and to put my own opinion in the ring. Make sure to go subscribe and like Stucky's video. I called former Mr. Beast employee a liar. He responded. First thing we have to talk about was proof of a verified subscriber that Dogpack claimed was not a verified subscriber. Dogpack's claim: you have to be a friend of Mr. Beast to get in his videos. Well, this guy, Jeremy, Stucky proves, is absolutely not a friend of Mr. Beast. He is a subscriber. The next thing was the proof of an illegal lottery that Mr. Beast held. He held an illegal lottery that was basically a t-shirt signing where he would randomly put amounts of money in the boxes and ship them out. I actually bought one of these t-shirts. It's actually in my closet right now as we speak. Never washed it because I was a big Mr. Beast fan at the time. And if you look at the description of that video, it does say no purchase necessary, making it not an illegal lottery and making that Dogpack404 claim entirely baseless. Also, if you did want to know, you can technically edit descriptions. So if Dogpack does use that as evidence in his counterclaim, that's a real thing. But because of Stucky's information that he provided that showed it was not edited, that is how we can know. The next thing was that all contestants must be local to North Carolina, which is, again, baseless. Stucky shows more evidence of this in his video where he basically says, here's another guy, here's another guy. He literally goes through and points out people that are not from North Carolina here.
Texas. You use a clip of me saying, this woman is from Virginia. This man is from California. This man is from Texas. You use a clip of me saying...
So basically, it's very easy to see by looking up their LinkedIn profiles and looking up their Instagrams that they are, one, not camera trained whatsoever, have zero followings on the internet, and two, also not from North Carolina. The next thing we have to look at is Dogpack's very misleading job history, where he himself claims that he was working a bit with Mr. Beast in February, and all of this trial period, March, all the way until June, he was working for Mr. Beast. That would be a total of 4 months. 4 months he would have worked for Mr. Beast, according to his own thing. Stucky then immediately points out that Dogpack404 had countered his own argument by saying that the Mr. Beast team allowed him to put on his LinkedIn resume that he worked for Mr. Beast for 4 months, when in reality he got fired after 3 weeks. That is some pretty damning evidence. The next thing is the legal groundwork for the Mr. Beast suit, which is talking about how Dogpack404 repetitively says over and over again that Mr. Beast did bad things and was trying to swindle him, was trying to pay him in a not fair amount. And basically, you can't say that. When there's legal evidence that is not true, you can't say that. That's defamation. That's how defamation works. You can say whatever you want. I could say, Mr. Beast is a stinky idiot. And that's not technically defamation, though I don't believe that. That is not technically defamation because it's not me charging him with something legal, but him charging Mr. Beast with something legal, which is that he wasn't paid correctly, and Mr. Beast showing proof that that is not true, does kind of point to the fact that it is actual defamation. The next thing is James Warren, this guy right here, Mr. Beast's cousin. According to Dogpack, he committed domestic violence. Well, That is entirely baseless as well. And Dogpack over and over does this thing where he says, I'm not going to reveal the victims' names to keep them private. Well, in a case like this, you kind of got to reveal the victims' names, because if you don't reveal the victims' names, they are baseless claims, and those baseless claims can ruin somebody's life. James Warren's life will be different after this because people on the internet believe that he is a domestic abuser. I believed that he was a domestic abuser based off of your baseless claims because I was blindly believing in the herd of what things are said. The next thing is that James Warren offered coke and hookers to his editors to stay extra overtime. That is, again, also a baseless claim. That is something that we don't know. He says that James Warren beat his dog. That is also a baseless claim. Dogpack 404, the next time you are on DMT, which there is proof that you are on DMT according to your own word on Reddit, do not accuse random people of crimes. That is a wrong thing to do. The next thing we are going to talk about is something that is very close to my heart as a Christian. He basically claims that Mr. Beast is the Antichrist, and he talks about that in depth. When I originally watched the Dogpack 404 video, I looked at this as just a joke. But when I looked at his actual quotes of the Bible, it seems like to a certain degree he was weaponizing Christianity against Mr. Beast, which is a very wrong thing to do. He was saying that Mr. Beast, because he supports Neuralink, and because Mr. Beast bought a church at one point to make into a studio, he is the Antichrist. Because he makes children idolize money, which, let's be honest, children already idolize money. He just took advantage of that fact. Again, not a great thing to do, but still not Antichrist. It is pretty ridiculous. The next thing we want to talk about is brainstorming unethical ideas, which Mr. Beast, or Dogpack 404 accused Mr. Beast of doing. When in that same video, Dogpack 404 added this idea to his brainstorming session, which was Dogpack 404's, it was his job to brainstorm things. But in this scenario, he had people sleep in a snake enclosure. He wanted them to sleep in a snake enclosure, avoid being tagged by an orangutan in a room full of obstacles, force them to stay in a cold penguin exhibit. I mean, this is inhumane. This is inhumane for the animals. This is inhumane for him. And I understand it's a brainstorming session. Sometimes brainstorming sessions are going to be inhumane. That's okay. You're not going to actually use that idea. But at the same time, that is not a great thing to do when you're accusing somebody else of hiring raccoons or faking being on a deserted island. Well, in these situations, you would have to overdevelop certain things. You would have to make them look like they were more than they are. You wouldn't necessarily say, we hired these trained orangutans. You would say, these orangutans. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of stretching the truth for the purposes of entertainment value, which is a very normal thing. Again, it's not okay to do on philanthropy channels, anywhere where it's a nonprofit, anything like that. But it's okay to do on YouTube. You're allowed to over-exaggerate things. That's the entire concept of what I'm doing right now. As being a YouTuber, I over-exaggerate certain things to make them more entertaining. Oh my gosh, bro. To make them more entertaining. You really think I would have made a reference to Swiss cheese at the start of this video if I didn't think it was going to be entertaining? That's the whole point of it. The next thing we're going to talk about is the $1 island, which according to Dogpack 404, because that island was not technically $1, he shouldn't have said it was $1. Again, a perfect example of stretching the truth for the sake of content. Maybe the island was $1 and then $20 in taxes. Well, guess what? That's okay. Do I say I bought this Xbox for $430.34? No, I don't say that. I say I bought this Xbox for $300. There was a 10% tax added onto that, but that's not something you really disclose regularly. You just don't disclose that type of stuff. I mean, if you don't choose to disclose tax, that's different. That's the government that you're paying. It's not you're paying for the item, you're paying for the government. The next thing was Mr. Beast rocket exploding when he offered subscribers the chance to send pictures to the moon. Well, first off, didn't explode. Stuckey talks about that a little bit. It actually burned up. And yes, that is a very technically, and you can't really point it out because, again, Dogpack was doing it for entertainment value. But at the same time, he did offer refunds. He did he actually refunded people before the moon launch actually happened, supposedly. And it's also not Mr. Beast's fault that a moon launch failed. You know how many moon launches have failed in the history of things? Another thing that Dogpack404 talks about is that he is a reporter, so he shouldn't be held accountable for things that happen. Well, maybe that's to a degree true, but when you're exposing people for extreme charges that can ruin their life, you should definitely be held accountable. That's not something light. That is not something small. You can't accuse somebody of doing a very heinous crime and possibly ruining their life with baseless evidence. That's not an okay thing to do. And I think Dogpack kind of realizes this because he does always say, I'm not a reporter. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a reporter. Shouldn't be held accountable. Allegedly, etc. It's ridiculous, and it's not necessarily great. The truth is that these statements are defamatory because they can be proven that they are not actually correct. Again, another thing is manipulating words for humor. In the case of Dogpack's videos, which he does regularly, and he says that he does regularly, is not okay when you are calling out a bigger person for manipulating words for purposes of entertainment. And then the final nail in the coffin was for Mr. Beast Feastables versus Hershey's chocolate argument, which is right here. Basically, Hershey's had less calories, less sugar, but if you really make it equal amounts, you'll tell. 320 calories, 30 grams of sugar. We'll make it equal, and it is actually less sugar and just barely more calories. And one would argue that more calories is actually not a bad thing in every situation. Less sugar, pretty much 100% a good thing, is to have less sugar. With that being said, is Mr. Beast Feastables marketing a little bit off on what they do? They did originally bring it up as a healthy for you chocolate bar and then rebranded as a sugary chocolate bar as a competitor to Hershey's. Do I think that's a little bit off? Yes. Do I think that Dogpack404 is poking a good hole in their argument? Not at all. And the more time that goes on, we're seeing more and more things that are poked in Dogpack's argument. At first, it was just baseless claims from anonymous users, but as time is going on, we are seeing over and over again, as Dogpack gets more in the weeds with this type of stuff, he is contradicting himself. He is creating these narratives that just benefit him. And on top of that, I'm not very convinced that he's not getting some type of kickback for this type of stuff. Yes, he's not doing YouTube monetization, but how is he living right now? What job does he have right now? Because I see him so often on Twitter and the internet that I don't know what you could do without having something going in the background, some type of money stream. I think ultimately there's nail in the coffin for Dogpack would be Mr. Beast responding in an expert, elaborate way, trying to poke holes in Dogpack's argument and also apologizing for the things that Dogpack got right, and it would fix the problem. Is Lunchly trash? Absolutely. Does Dogpack change any of that? Not really. Is Feastables probably not as good as we originally thought? Probably. Does Mr. Beast stretch the truth? Probably. But is Dogpack a bad person? He might be. He actually might be. I don't know the guy personally. I'd love to talk to him and have an actual conversation with him, allow him to poke holes in the arguments that are poking holes in him. But, that'll probably not happen. Anyways, guys, you have an amazing day. Again, go watch Stucky's video if you want to know more about it. He is much more eloquent than me.